Nobody noticed the lanky guard pacing Madison Square Garden's dark corridor, except the janitor who almost asked for his security pass. Hours later, that same nobody would silence a sold-out crowd, crash NBA.com servers, and bulldoze open a path that kids who didn't fit the mold still sprint through the day. This is the lightning strike tale of Jeremy Lin, the Harvard grad who defied gravity without ever dunking from the free throw line, and the storm that followed when the world finally looked his way.
New York, February 4th, 2012. His agent's voice crackled through a cheap headset. "Play bad tonight and it's your last NBA game." He hung up, stared at his brother's borrowed sofa, and realized even that spot was gone. Relatives were visiting. Jeremy was politely booted. He lugged a duffel bag across town to teammate Landry Fields' 6-foot rental couch, knees dangling over the edge. Insomnia hit harder than any D-League bus ride. But inside Madison Square Garden, destiny was piecing together a script Hollywood would reject for being too far-fetched. Jeremy checked in late in the first quarter against Deron Williams. One crossover, then another, then a spinning banker off glass. The Garden roared. He posted 25 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, and 1 unspoken message. Stereotypes were about to be torched. But a single blaze doesn't make a wildfire. The next 6 nights would. Night 2. Utah arrives. Carmelo limps out, Amari mourns a family loss, and all of Manhattan shrugs in defeat. Until Lin detonates 28 points. Night 3. Washington's John Wall, track star quick, gets reverse engineered by a guy Wall once ignored in Summer League. Night 4. Kobe Bryant, asked about Lin, shrugs, "Who?" Jeremy replies with 38 on national TV, including a cold-blooded dagger in front of LA's bench. By the end of the week, #Linsanity trends in Portuguese and Swahili. Dick's Sporting Goods can't keep number 17 jerseys in stock. NBA data shows he ranked second in league-wide jersey sales by April. ESPN.com. Taxi drivers blast Cantonese talk radio, dissecting his pick-and-roll footwork. Hedge fund analysts slip Lin premium slides into Q1 decks. The underdog narrative the league loves to sell finally had a live example, and nobody, not even the Knicks front office, knew what to do with it. Yet every fairy tale demands a dragon, and Jeremy's wore 2 faces: prejudice and pressure. The same headlines that hailed him as a global savior also mocked his heritage with puns that would cost editors their jobs today. Security at visiting arenas still asked for trainer credentials. Anonymous scouting reports labeled him sneaky quick, a euphemism he'd heard since AAU. Kobe's post-Lakers hug felt genuine. An ESPN mobile push with a racially charged slur did not. The noise seeped in. Autograph mobs, midnight film sessions, endorsement calls from bubble tea chains he'd never tasted. Inside, Jeremy felt what he later described as a tunnel of glare, impossible to see out. Still, he hooped. But knees don't understand fairy tales. A torn meniscus in March slashed momentum and seeded doubts that would stalk every contract negotiation henceforth. Rehab finished one chapter, but the NBA's revolving door was just starting to spin. Houston's analytics-savvy front office dangled a poison pill backloaded deal. New York balked, and Manhattan's brief romance evaporated overnight. In Texas, Lin's numbers steadied, 13 points, 5 asked, but share-the-ball mantras wilted under James Harden's heliocentric orbit. Charlotte offered revival. Brooklyn offered heartbreak. A ruptured patellar tendon turned the Barclays Center into a personal chamber of echoes. Toronto delivered redemption, an NBA ring in 2019, even if it came from cheerleading more than floor time. And then, America's pro courts went silent. Some said the league figured him out. Others whispered the cruel math of age plus injuries. Jeremy chose a different equation. He booked a one-way ticket to Beijing. Asia welcomed a prodigal son, but homecomings can be complicated. In the CBA's roaring arenas, Lin dropped 22 5-5 averages for the Beijing Ducks, navigating paparazzi that dwarfed anything 6th Avenue mustered. But COVID froze the season, closed borders, and redirected his compass to a startup league closer to his Taiwanese roots. New Taipei Kings brass pitched a dual mission: hoops glory and national pride. Lin signed a 1+1 deal, highlighted his Mandarin in promos, and, bad knee and all, pushed the 3-year-old franchise to its maiden 2024 championship. The victory parade smelled of oyster omelets and bubble tea sugar. Kids wore number 7 in night markets once dominated by NBA counterfeits. Yet out of frame, medical charts told a darker subplot. In March 2024, a cutting-edge laser blood therapy, legal in some countries, banned by WADA code, triggered a 5-game suspension and fine. The league clarified no drugs were ingested, but procedure rules are rules. Jeremy issued a midnight apology. Online debate raged. Redemption story versus technicality witch hunt. He served the ban, laced up again, and 2 months later limped through a P-League Plus finals clincher, icing free throws on one functional leg. Pain can be muted, purpose can't. And Jeremy's voice was suddenly louder off the court than on it. Spring, 2025. Anti-Asian assaults flash across news tickers. Lin's Instagram posts shift from highlights to heartfelt essays. In a Takeline podcast, he admits, "I used to reject being the Asian player. Now that label is my megaphone." He throws weight behind hashtag Stop Asian Hate rallies, funds legal clinics through the Jeremy Lin Foundation, and auctions game-worn kicks for hospital scholarships. Asked about coaching, he quips, "You'll only do it if it's part of ministry, not a career path." Brands that once measured his influencer value in click-through rates now value him for credibility. Yet the hardwood keeps calling, and the clock keeps ticking. January 21st, 2025, ESL road game in Busan. 2 minutes in, Lin pulls up, hamstring screams. Trainers ice, fans gasp, Kings win anyway. 3 weeks later, Macau's Final Four beckons. Jeremy begs the medical staff for clearance, half jokes about YouTube highlight compilations needing fresh footage. He re-enters playoff battle lines off the bench, rusty but resolute. Coach Ryan Marchand later confesses he hasn't practiced full speed once. The Kings fall short, yet the headlines shift. Lin sacrifices leg for title run. Retirement rumors swirl. On a Taiwanese talk show, he shrugs, "If the knee needs a knife, I'm done. If not, I'm still hoopin'." Whatever the verdict, his financial freedom is secure. But legacy can't be measured in bank statements. Celebrity net worth pegs him at $36 million. Not generational superstar money, but enough to seed VC funds, faith-based camps, and maybe a docuseries. Yet ask any playground dreamer in Queens, Kowloon, or Kuala Lumpur who convinced them that Ivy Leaguers, Asian guards, and undrafted hopefuls could survive the NBA grinder, and the answer still echoes: Jeremy freaking Lin. Because hashtag Linsanity wasn't a stat line. It was a door kicked off rusty hinges. It taught GMs to re-examine eye tests, taught networks new pronunciation guides, taught millions that prayer circles and pick and rolls can coexist. And it proved a truth fans secretly crave. The universe occasionally rewards risk, hustle, and guts over pedigree. Some legends accumulate over decades. Others erupt, blinding and brief, but bright enough to light a generation. Jeremy Lin's supernova lasted 26 unforgettable games in one lockout year. Yet its afterglow stretches into 2025 and beyond. Whether he tapes up for another season or trades sneakers for a microphone at a protest, his story keeps dribbling forward inside anyone who's been mislabeled, underestimated, or politely shown the couch. So the next time your feed serves a fresh Cinderella saga, remember the quiet kid who once sneaked past Madison Square Garden security and left as the most talked about athlete on earth. Because miracles aren't allergic to hardwood, they're allergic to hesitation. And Jeremy Lin never hesitated when the world finally handed him the ball.